Thank you for watching my video. This is the sixth video on software testing. I have created 5 videos and I have also given a playlist link in the description. Go through my playlist link for the previous videos. I have discussed about software testing principles, software testing principles, software development lifecycle, software testing lifecycle, types of software testing, levels of testing, test maturity model, and SDLC models, and types of testing. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the next topic, that is white box testing, and also to start with, and let me explain you. I started internship at mysis.com and also giving a 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year internship in various roles. You can come and click on mysis.com internship to actually understand what are the various types of internships. 1 month I'm giving you free, and next 3 months it will be, you need to pay the money to continue as an intern. And I have multiple projects which you can work as a software intern in various roles. And if you want, you can actually send me mail at submit@mysis.com or connect me in LinkedIn uh, at VMR, and direct message me to discuss on the internship. So let us come back to our testing tutorial. White box testing. So we have been discussing in our earlier tutorials that white box testing is done by the developers, right? It is also called a glass box is also called known as testing, structural testing, clear box testing, open box testing, and transparent box testing. These are all done by uh, one second. These are all done by developers. Okay. So let us move on. What is black box testing? What is white box testing? So the white box testing contains various tests which are path testing, loop testing, condition testing, testing based on memory perspective, test perspective of the program. Let me check whether you know uh, whatever I am recording is you know coming properly. Okay, so that is actually I am able to see voice is clear. So let us come back. We have a path testing, loop testing, condition testing, test based on memory perspective, test performance of the program. So path testing, right? So developers, what happens? They actually write a code, and they will have a function A, function B, and function C, function D, function G. So function A, function B at main level, and then this function C is called in function A. Similarly, function D is called in function A, and function G is called in function B, and function E is called in D, and F is called in D. H and I are called in function F. So the tests are independent paths, and to ensure that all these paths are touched upon in our testing. Okay, to see that all the cases are handled. Okay, the second one is the loop testing. Loop testing uh, is used to test all the statements in a loop. Okay, so for example, do loop, while loop, or for loop. So whatever you have created, for example 50,000, it should actually loop through all those 50,000. Your test case should cover all those 50,000 cases and what happened. Similarly, uh, okay, so that is loop testing. The condition testing also condition, if condition should be true, as well as else condition should be true. So your test case should cover both both these places, and also it should ensure that all the lines are covered. So that is the important functionality of your if else condition testing. Okay, so you have to ensure that. So there are set of tools available also for this white box testing. For example, code coverage tools are there, so which you can utilize them to actually check how much code coverage is done in our unit testing or white box testing. So testing based on memory perspective, right? So the reuse of code is not there. Okay, so how much size it has allocated, what is the size, how much you are actually allocating, how much you are. Okay, for example, 10 characters are added as part of memory, and what will happen if it is a 11 characters are assigned. Okay, so those kind of testing also you need to ensure, and then see that your application works. Particularly in C++ memory management, you have to be very careful on managing the memory. Okay, so test the performance of the program, the speed, response time. So you have to ensure that each function, okay, has the logs, and then see that what is the input time, time when they it enters the function, time it exits the function. Okay, so that you can actually, when you are testing, you can see your performance of a particular function as well as performance of that particular feature is measured, and it should be within the definite time. Okay, so generic tests for white box testing. Design all the test scenarios, test cases, and prioritize them according to the high priority number. This step involves study of code at runtime to examine the resource utilization, not access areas of code, time taken by various methods and operations, and so on. In this step, testing of internal subroutines takes place. Internal subroutines such as non-public methods interfaces are able to handle all the types of data appropriately or not. This step focuses on testing a control statements like loops and conditional statements to check efficiently and accuracy for different data inputs. In this last step, while white box testing includes security testing to check all possible security loopholes by looking at how the code handles the security. So reasons for white box, of course, reasons for white box testing is every developer has to ensure that whatever he has actually written is meeting requirements, and also whatever the code he has written is as per the expectation, and also all the lines of code he has actually written are covered during his testing. There should not be any line of code where you are not able to do a testing. So you have to see that code coverage and then do the testing, and then see that code coverage is 100 percentage. Otherwise, that code is whichever you are not able to meet, right? It is the non-reachable code, and it might happen that during the system that particular code might reach, and then it might not work as expected. So ensure that whatever the code you have written is actually covered during your white box testing. And white box testing optimizes code, so hidden errors can be identified. Test cases of white box testing can be easily automated. This testing is more thorough than other testing approaches. It covers all code possible. It can be started in the SDLC phases even without GUI. Disadvantages of white box testing is white box testing is too much time consuming when it comes to large scale performance applications, programming applications. White box testing is much expensive and complex. It can lead to the production error because it is not detailed by developers. White box testing needs professional programmers who have a detailed knowledge and understanding of programming language and implementation. Techniques used by the white box testing. Data flow testing. So data flow testing is a group of testing strategies that examines the control flow of programs in order to explore the sequence variables according to the sequence of events, right? How data flows. So you need to check in a function, for example, how a particular data is flowing from one function to the other function and other function, and what is the result. Okay, so control flow testing determines execution order of statements and instructions of the program through the control structures. The control structures of programs is used to develop, okay, right, all the for loop and uh, while and all those related control statements. Branching testing is like what you do in a if and else and switch. So how your code is going and how data is flowing. Statement testing coverage is used to design white box test cases. Involves execution of all statements of the source code, and decision testing reports true and false outcomes of Boolean expressions. So you have to ensure that those are taken care and are tested very well. In the particularly in the if statement, whether you are actually making the right if statement or by default it is going true, all those things you need to test. So what is the difference between white box testing and black box testing? We have already seen it. White box testing, the developers can perform white box testing. To perform white box testing, we should have an understanding of the programming language. Of course, only developers will do so. They will have a programming language experience. In this, we will look into the source code and test the logic of the code. In this, the developer should know about the internal design of the code. Black box testing, the test engineers perform the black box testing like manual tester or automation tester. They don't know about the internal code of black box testing. Okay, in this we will verify that functionality of application based on the requirement application specification. We will not go in detail of internal how the program is done. We just verify whether the functionality is working as expected. In this there is no need to know about the internal design of the code. Okay, so that is we already discussed. So now let us come into the black box testing. This is the important chapter what you are going to do, and you will be asked many questions on this because you are perform as a black box tester, right? So black box testing is a technique of software testing which examines the functionality of a software without peering into the internal structure or coding. The primary source of black box testing is a specification of the requirement that is stated by the customer. In this method, tester selects a function and gives input value to examine its functionality and checks whether the function is giving expected output. Okay. So what you are going to do? Okay. You go through the requirement specification document and then you prepare the test cases and test scenarios. Then you prepare the test data also for that particular testing, and then you actually test as part of the test case, and then you will verify whether the behavior is as expected what you have written in the document as per the requirement specification. And then if it fails, you will mark it as a fail. If it passes, you will say that it is passed. Okay, so that is that input, and the result as an output. And then internally you are not worried which language it is developed, which methodology it is done, or which programming it is done, which environment it is done. If it is a mobile app, for example, you just see that mobile application is working as expected as per the requirement specification. If it is a web app, you will check whether it is working as per the expectation, and GUI is and responsiveness is good as per the requirement specification. Okay, so you don't worry about how that is developed in the server or client. So you will test as per the requirement specification and the test strategy and test plan as per the plan. So the black box testing is based on the specification of the requirement. So it is examined in the beginning. In the second step, the tester creates a positive test scenarios, an adverse test scenario by selecting valid and invalid input values to check whether the software is processing them correctly or incorrectly. In the third step, the tester develops various test cases such as decision tables, all pair tests, equivalent decisions, cost estimate, error estimation, and cause effect graph, etc. The fourth phase indicates the execution of all test cases. The fifth phase, tester compares all expected outcome against the actual output. And then the sixth and final stage is if there is any flaw in the software, then it is queued by the developer and given it to the tester, and it is tested again. So that is how actually the procedure. Okay, we don't have to go through that. If you want to come and test it, this is the general procedure. So the test procedure of blockbusting is a kind of a process in which the tester has a basic knowledge about the software at work, and it develops a test cases and to check the accuracy of the um, what are the test cases? Test cases are created considering the specification of the requirements. So these test cases are generally created from the working descriptions of software, including the requirements, so design parameters and other specifications. The testing, the test designer selects both positive test cases by taking the valid inputs and adverse test cases by taking the invalid inputs. So it will have all types of testing, which will have about in actual function where what it's supposed to work, as well as boundary conditions. Okay, so techniques used in black box testing is a decision table technique where you will create a table and then you will give the values, what types of values it should have and what is the expected behavior. Boundary value techniques you use it to identify what are the boundary conditions for all the parameters, and then you give negative cases or boundary cases, and then ensure that those are handled it properly. And the state transition technique method is used to verify from transitioning from one state to other state. For example, it is in the initial state, and then for example a transition has a few steps like initiation, a review, approve, close, like that. Then we have to see that all these states are handled it properly. All pair testing is used to test all the possible discrete combinations of values. Okay, it is combinations of values, and it is actually used, for example, using the checkbox and radio button and list box and test box. All is entered and then see that how the system is performing. Okay, cost effect technique undergoes the relationship between a given result and all the factors affecting the result. It is based on the collection of requirements. Equivalence partition technique is a technique of software testing in which input data divided into partitions for valid and invalid values, and it is mandatory that all partitions must exhibit the same behavior. Error guessing technique. Error guessing is a technique in which there is no specific method for identifying the error. You just need to guess it based on your experience, and then see that it is actually behaving as per the expected behavior. Use case technique. Use case is used to identify the test cases from the beginning to the end, and then testing is done performed by the tester. So let us use that. What is a gray box testing? See, as we discussed white box testing and black box testing. Gray box testing is the combination of black box and the white box. Usually, if there is a no test team available, so usually developer will become as a gray box tester, and then he will actually perform white box testing and black box testing, which will result in a gray box testing. So why gray box testing? So it provides combined benefits of both black box and white box testing. It includes the input values of both developers and testers at the same time to improve the overall quality. It reduces time consumption of long process of functional and non-functional testing. It gives sufficient time to developer to fix the product defects. It includes user point of view rather than designer or tester point of view. It involves examination of requirements and determination of specifications by using the point of view deeply. So what is the gray box testing strategy? First, select all identified inputs from black box and white box testing inputs. So, second, identify expected outcomes from these selected inputs. So, third step is identify all the major paths to traverse through the during the testing period. The fourth task is to identify subfunctions which are part of the main functions to perform deep level testing. Fifth is to identify inputs for subfunctions. Sixth step is to identify expected outcomes for subfunctions. So the seventh step is including execution of test cases for subfunctions. The eighth step is including the verification of the correctness of the result. Okay. So techniques for gray box testing, you can do that manual matrix testing. All right. This testing includes under the gray box testing, it defines all the used variables of program. In the program variable, all the elements through which values are travel inside the program. It should be as per the requirements, and create a table and then reduce it as a matrix. Regression testing is used to verify that modification of any part of the software has not caused any adverse or unintended side effect. So this is used during once the testing is done, and then we have given the defects to the developer, and developer has done fixing and then given it back to you to verify. So because of that fix, we need to, as a tester, we need to ensure that there are no side effects or regression effects in other functionalities. So orthogonal testing, ROIT, the purpose of this testing is to cover maximum code with minimal test cases. Test cases are designed in a way that cover maximum code as well as UI functions with a smaller number of test cases. Pattern testing is applicable to such the type of software that developed by same pattern of previous software. In this type of software, is possibility the occur of the same type of defects. So we have to verify that these whether they are occurred or not. Okay. So that is about black box, gray box, and white box testing. So this is important what we are going to do in our next video. Black box testing, right? We have discussed. Now we are going to discuss in detail on the white box techniques and black box testings. Okay, and the types of functional box, and types of functional testing, and then non-functional, and then test case development. So there is a lot of content is there. So I'm going to end the video here, and if you wanted to see my previous videos, go to my playlist and then watch. And as I discussed, right, I have started the internship, and if you are interested in a internship in various roles in my company, and also want to work on various softwares and websites, web portals which are famous, which you can claim in your profile. So you come to mysys.com/internship.html and then verify, and then connect me at my submitted mysys.com, or connect me in VMR in LinkedIn, and direct message me to have a live discussion with you. And if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.